Alright, we're gonna get started in a minute. I know I'm bad at starting on time. Got a lot of new gadgets. My desk is starting to look like a fucking satellite station. Yeah, it's kind of a mess over here. That's all your fault. Because I'm trying to show cool shit, so I put more and more cool shit on my table. For example, I don't know shit about batteries. Guess I will. Hey Corey, how's it going? I'm just making some tea and then we'll get started. I got some like stuff in the mail. That's why I'm late because I couldn't find it in the mail room. And then turns out it was right in front of my face all along. I can't find my other radio though. Where is it? I've got like 5 now. Oh my god. Some antennas. Oh, I found the radio. It was underneath the laptop. So what's new in your vibe coding world on your side? What are you playing with right now? I haven't hacked on meshtastic. I went to like a meet on Sunday with people building like a meshtastic network, and so because I want to have friends and stuff, I decided to buy some as well, and then the nerd curiosity does the rest. Oh, cool. Yeah, I read about Helium a little bit. That's like where you get paid to be a mesh node, right? Yeah. I read a little bit about those other protocols. I was I was wondering, like I mean, the fact that there could totally be blackouts, and with like extreme weather events. A couple of trees got down on the street this morning, and I think it kind of makes starts making sense just having something that's like ready to go, or at least having like a good understanding of how these things work. And like the obviously like ham radio is still kind of like the go-to, right? And so I'm gonna get my license now because can't stop. But the little mesh peer-to-peer kind of thing could be cool for like I don't see messaging as like a killer application because it's like so weirdly hard to understand if it's reliable or not. Um, but like kind of like a BBS kind of thing could be pretty interesting to just have a way to slowly disseminate some info, and then if you're in the vicinity of something that has received that info, get that stuff. I haven't done embedded in like 6 million years, so we'll see how that goes. This doesn't even focus, huh? Um, we'll see how that goes. So I've got two ESP32 devices. I've got my SDR, which I was able to see something in the band yesterday. I have no idea what it was, but there was like a little bit of something. This morning I managed to compile a GNU radio while I was at the coffee shop. So that's really cool because like there's so much documentation missing from these open source things, and that's like one of the easiest things to add, right? So I guess we'll get started. And the thing that was funny the thing I'm going to start with, and it's like kind of aligned with. No, I'm not building the radios from scratch. I got like a software defined radio, like the cheap one is like 25 bucks or something, which is really cool. Like it's cooler than I expected to like kind of DSP your own FM trans receiver. So I'm not going to get a transceiver just yet, but that's coming soon. And I got two little handheld radios that I'll need like a technician's license for. But I kind of go in all day. Ham in a day licensing events. That's like crazy. Like, I mean, I do actually want to learn the material you're supposed to know instead of just like winging it. Physics was never a thing that really interested me. So literally, I mean, in high school, I could just like wing it in the 5 minutes before the exam. But so I went to university and physics there, I was like, yeah, whatever, physics. I just like always winged it. That's not going to be a big deal. And then came the exam and I was like, holy shit, this is not high school anymore. So a week before the exam, I like looked at it and was like, I should have gone to the lectures. Like I have no idea what this is all about. And then I started noticing though, because I had all the exams of the last 20 years or something, they all had the same patterns. So I just learned the patterns in that week and then I got like a B plus or something. It was, but I kind of don't want to do that anymore. Because what's the value in that, right? Um, but with LLMs, it's actually pretty fun to be able to, because I need to learn things by doing, or to have something that captures my interest. So actually doing the software defined radio is pretty cool because I get to mix that with the DSP that I know a little bit, and then with the SDR and having like firmwares and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So what I did last time on stream, I guess yesterday evening, right? Oh man, so I have some stuff to finish. I did finish a proper merge here. So this is work. What is this? This is work as well. This is work. No, this wasn't work. This is work. This is not work. I have two workspaces that I need to clean up because they start piling up. So I think Pinocchio used new help system. I did put in a pull request, I think, just to clean that stuff up. So what I added to Pinocchio, which is my command line tool, is it has the new help system UI that I developed the other day, which is if you ask it to give you the UI, it will give you like a nice little UI here, and then you can do search, and it actually has like a pretty extensive like kind of query language. So it seems like here the syntax parsing error is like something that we need to fix. I really need to design some kind of like to-do system to write down all the bugs that I have in my vibe coded shit. So, but still, it's like a pretty good start to have this, and it's like a good starting point. So I did put in a pull request for that, and so let's go see if I already merged it. So it looks like I already merged it, right? Pinocchio, add Gemini support. So I didn't submit a pull request. So GHPR create, add new help UI. I don't know why I put in dash dash, I'm stupid. And so I think I pushed a branch. No, I didn't. The thing is, like, once you have like 40 repos of your own software, it starts to get like a pain in the butt to manage it all at like the level of quality I want to maintain. It's just like most of my time goes back. It reminds me of this year where I was like in charge of the Linux build system at work. That was like, I think it was like 2014, 2015, something like that. Yeah, look at this shit. 9,000 contributions is like I was just doing like merging requests across all kinds of repos all the time. Like this was before LLMs, right? Like this was like 5,000, 9,000, 7,000 contributions without LLMs. What a fucking crazy time. And this is what my open source feels like these days. This fucking annoys me because I am actually using Go 124.4 and it still like thinks I'm not. Very annoying. All right. So you've got a ham license, Corey? All right, but let's go back to what I want to do today actually. So I think I merged the workspace. This would be interesting to merge as well, the bubble tea event-driven architecture guide. Oh, maybe let me log out of the work Amcode account. And back here we have these jobs still running. Yeah, so there's like local classes where you're at. I was thinking of doing it online, and then like the people I met on Sunday, like quite a few of them have ham licenses, like the higher up ones, like general, and like I don't know what the top one is, and I think they can even give you exams if they want to. Um, so we'll see. I mean, it's not the smallest material, right? Like if you take it seriously. Um, like I'm glad that I have some understanding of signal processing, but so I wonder what we're gonna do on stream tonight. What I did the other day, meaning yesterday, is in my labs, I do have this app called Commands Apps Meshtastic with like Meshtastic protocol, and the thing is that um, I made a code review of this. Where did the code review come in? Oh, the code review is here, and it built the same client like 18 times. So it's like the big boo boo that happens when you do vibe coding. And since I'm on this kind of like mission of learning how to do refactoring with something like an agent, um, it's a good starting point, right? Like even today at work, I made like a refactoring plan with O3, and I gave it to Claude, and man, did it go completely sideways, despite having this like fairly clear plan. So I'm like, how do you deal with that? Like doing the refactoring by hand every time you build a small feature is like it slows you down a lot, right? And then doing the refactoring by hand after a while also gets confusing, right? So we'll have a look at this mess. Let me just finish merging that before I move on though. So this is merged. We can now delete our workspace. So I think I can clean this df. Whoops. Then I can go to Pinocchio. I can also rebase this git fetch origin, git rebase, origin main. This is just like to make my tool happy, and then we can delete Pinocchio use new help system. I also have a refactored version of this workspace manager that like completely destroyed it. Like there's so much quality of life that you could think of start adding to everything because you're like so used to adding quality of life to everything. All right, yeah. I mean, drop in whenever you want. I'm not gonna do like the most fascinating stuff. Kind of. It's gonna be like interesting to do some refactoring. Let me push a new version of my Pinocchio. So I think we bumped glaze, right? Yeah. Oh, what the fuck is that? All right, so make tag patch release. Just release a new version. I'm the only one using this tool anyway, but it's in every package manager. And we're going to create a new workspace and we're going to examine this serial protocol client for the meshtastic node that I had. So we're going to clone Google Labs, and I think that's enough. Meshtastic client refactor. And the first thing we're going to do is, besides just using the workspace, we're going to open cursor and take a look. I'm also going to install my new version of Pinocchio. Also going to install my new version of Glazed, because now I should be able to do glaze help dash dash UI and get my nice little UI. Yep. And then do the same for Pinocchio help dash dash UI. And then, oh, if I press Control C, it prints out the web page that I did. And then if I do Q, however, it doesn't. Okay, well, that's a weird one. So we're going to open cursor and we're going to have a look at the code review that I had O3 do in the background. So let's get started. And then I also did a deep research on the serial protocol the other day, or the Python implementation of the serial client that they use. So we'll have a look at that as well. And actually we can do, I think I already have this in my repos list. I think this is called meshtastic Python, right? So we're going to add this to the workspace. So the workspace is called meshtastic client refactor, and we're going to add meshtastic Python and meshtastic proto buffs. And I guess we could have the firmware in here as well, right? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So we have all of these things open, and the app that we have built the other day is called Meshtastic TUI, which is in here. And then if we look into the client, there's like 18 different versions of the client in here. And I did a bunch of code reviews. You can see also that there's like a bunch of documents here everywhere. It's like really kind of a mess. And I'm not exactly sure how to approach this refactor now, because I actually don't even know what a proper API to this system is. I'm going to add glazed to the workspace manager just so I can reference some standard things. So I'm going to add glazed. And then Tastic client refactor. All right. So we have device discovery, we have connection management, we have a frame parser, which has a state machine. So that's cool. What I'm curious about is like, I do want to have this kind of like event driven, right? And I started adding like event driven shit to this, but there's the event driven layer for the application side of things. And then there's like the events that I do get from the firmware. And then even lower level, there's the events of basically just reading from the serial interface, right? Because this is a lot of garbage, like especially statistics and all of that stuff. That's like stuff that we don't really need. It has callbacks. So it reads a single byte, process next frame, bytes processed, and then it processes the byte, and then it has a state machine waiting for a start byte, and then it like has basically a simple decoder for the payload. So that's cool. Should we have a channel of like events, or should we go straight to a watermill event driven thing? The one thing that's interesting here is, because the serial connection can close and can reopen, that is not in this frame builder. But I also wonder, so it took like, it has like two frame parsers, and it has like a robust version and it has like a non-robust version. Then it has like a robust client, and then it has like a normal client. And the serial client, for example, doesn't seem to be used anymore. So we're going to delete just stuff that is not used anymore. So the robust meshtastic client is, why is none of this used? And then we have a new meshtastic client. That's not used either. Oh, the serial client was used. Create robust client. So how many things are wrapped in here? This is not called. Yeah, I don't know what all of this mess is. Um, my suggestion would be, like, it's a lot of words, right? Like, it's a lot of useful stuff. So how do these guys create stuff? They open, create, and connect client. And here client stands for meshtastic package client, which is what we're looking at. And then they use the robust meshtastic client, right? So I wonder why the find by use wasn't like working before, because now it's showing it to me that this thing is used. Okay. So that means the non-robust version is not used, right? New meshtastic client is not used anywhere. So this one we can delete. Then we have interfaces, which is another thing that it loves doing. Oh, but this had the config in it which is still important. So this wasn't important, right? So I wonder if this like cleaning up by hand, like what is the value of the cleaning up by hand? Is it just for me to understand what was even built? Is this for me to assess? I'm thinking out loud here, obviously, right? Is like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending the time to do this? Is this a valuable way of spending my time, or um, should I use it differently? What is a stream interface? Is this used somewhere? What is a serial interface? Is this used somewhere? It's used in the client. So serial interface is also a stream interface, is also a mesh interface. I don't like that at all. This is a complete mess. Also, I don't necessarily want to have the the cached info in here. Like these are requests, right? And then the result of these requests is stored in, it's called like a shadow device is what you call it with IoT MQTT. It's never a pattern that I loved very much because the real world is event driven, right? Like you will never have state. State just doesn't exist. You can pretend that there's state. You know, even your memory is like in a way stateless because you have to refresh the memory. But once you have your computer, the only thing you can do is like you receive information from somewhere, and then maybe for an instruction or two, right? You have it locally in your processor, and you can do something with it. But everything is basically incoming events, and the time you decode this event, already like the information on the other side is going to be out of date. So if you do store it locally, you know that you have something um, that needs to be reconciliated at some point. And so that's why I don't like having these like shadow things, because they are ultimately they're useful for the UI, right? Like at the time, at the moment you put something on screen, then you have a shadow copy on screen. Like you can't just like blip it out in a couple of femtoseconds or whatever. Um, anyway, this is a total mess. I don't know what a stream is. Stream specific methods. Is this ever used anywhere? Set stream. Get stream. This is never used anywhere, is it? Set stream is called in the serial client. So these are the reconnection attempts, right? So we have, I'm going to start taking notes somewhere. And I guess I like putting in the date. It's also like link it back to the stream. All right, I turned this on earlier, but where's my, oh man, this like Go language server is so fucking annoying. Why are you complaining? You little bitch. Yeah, you should be good. Like, why you... Was it the temple? Okay. Okay, how do I disable the tab completion on Markdown? Where's the cursor tab? God damn it. There you are. Disable for Markdown. All right. zoom in. So the notes that we were taking is we have a state machine for reconnecting in serial client.go, right? Robust frame parser on top of that. So the serial client is the thing that's going to be at the lowest level, and disconnection and reconnection is like kind of okay for the most part. And this is basically going to emit a couple of events, right? Like if we tackle this as an event-driven system, the serial client is going to do things like connecting, connected, disconnected, right? Final disconnecting, because this is like transient, right? Reconnecting, and then final disconnected, or like an error, right? So these are final events, and received data, right? And then methods is like send with send buffer. And like I think none of these are really important. I mean, connected obviously is kind of important, but the most important one is like receive data, which is going to go into the frame parser. I wonder if that's how the Python version does it. Man, like when you ask it to refactor or do stuff, it will start adding wrappers to everything. It's like horrible. And then you just end up, then it's going to add wrappers around the wrappers, and it's just like spiraling downhill really fast. So how is the framing done? When do the from radio message is being called in interface, and this is serial interface handle frame. And what is serial interface? It's a wrapper around serial client. Like what the fuck is all of this? This is horrible. Find best meshtastic port, serial interface, new frame parser, new frame builder, set debug. So this is serial interface is another version of the serial client, right? So we have serial client double implementation, serial client.go, and then serial interface.go, or like interface.go, and serial. Cool. Good job. Good job, LLM. And this is in PKG client. So this is also in the code review. I already read it as well. This has a reader loop, and then once it reads, it looks at the context, and if it reads from the reader loop, it will, the port here is a serial port, which is from the library. Okay, so has a read loop reading from a serial port, and read can return EOF, which triggers a reconnect. And so if bytes were read, it sends them to the parser, right? If bytes were read, send them to the parser. And if there's, however, a disconnect, right? then do we reset the parser on disconnect? So here on disconnect, we probably need to reset the parser. So this could be running in a Go routine, right? So this guy seems like it's not used anymore. New serial interface. It's not used anymore. Okay. So if we look at the serial client, how does this guy work? You call connect and it calls connect on the stream client. So the other one is like delegates connection to the stream client. That's definitely over-engineered. It sends a wake-up sequence. It has three Go routines: reader loop, writer loop, heartbeat loop. That's interesting. It sends a wake up. Sends wake up on connect. But the stream, when is the stream opened? Stream, IO write read closer. So that's after you open the port with open serial port. Okay, so serial client opens the port and then passes it to the stream client. And then yeah, this apparently wants to set shipcle, but it's not implemented. Yeah, so this is there's a few interesting things in here. It opens the port, hang up on close. Then there's another wrapper around the serial port wrapper, or did we already see that? We probably already saw that. And the serial client, I guess is really just like traditional code reading right now. When do I want to switch into the vibe mode? That's like the big question. Because I don't have a good idea of what I want this cycle to be, right? Like, so stream client on connect does start 3 go routine. Yeah, so that's what I started writing over here. Sends wake up on connect, sends want config and waits for response, sends waits for config to continue. And that's a question of, do we want to do this with a state machine or not? So we have a new timeout. So we do have a whole timeout struct. has a whole timeout handler construction, which I think it copied from the Python probably. This looks very weird. Then it has a message queue as well. I think those are all, when I asked it to like port the Python over, it just like used all the structs from the Python. This looks like very not Go-ish. And then is getStream even used? So getStream and setStream is not used. So I wonder what the stream client is like overall used for. It's just used for the changing the state. What is the stream client used for? It's used to connect and to close. And then it has a state handler. Okay. What does the state handler do? It's on state changed. Change state. Okay, so the serial client sets a state handler to be called on state changed. The stream client seems to be responsible for only connecting, i.e. sending the wake up plus starting the loops. So what do these loops do? That's also interesting, because maybe that's where most of the job is done. So we saw here it has a reader loop. The reader loop is reading, handling the disconnects, and then calling the parser. Okay, so reader loop, reading from stream plus dispatching to the parser. The writer loop is selecting from a on tick, read from message queue and send as packet. And then the heartbeat loop. So here has stream client send packet, right? Stream client send packet, proto mesh packet, sc send to radio, which calls write, but should check the written length, right? Because like here we don't check the length of the write, which is problematic. Yeah. So what happens if there's an error in the send to radio? Right, like we're in the send packet. Sorry. We have send message. If we have a message queue, then we send it or not. So that's the stream client. And it has send text. So the stream client has all kinds of messages also. So the stream client has sent message. And queue if queue present. Otherwise send directly. Also send text, which already encodes it as mesh packet. Has send admin message. So this does quite a bit of protocol-y stuff, right? It also has like a ton of callbacks, which I don't like. Handles packet IDs. And then send to radio is this like serial thing. Sending the heartbeat doesn't do anything, right? Currently unimplemented. And then handle from radio. Where is that called? like handle frame. Okay, so the frame parser is fed by the stream client, however, calls back sc handle frame and sc handle log byte. So at what point do I switch over to vibing? Because my idea right now is taking this knowledge and right, there's send heartbeat here, which I think does nothing. Okay. When we have handle frame, which is going to decode the frame, then it's going to do handle from radio, then it's going to dispatch to many different handlers. Okay, so this then further decodes and sends to a whole host of packet handlers named after the payload type. And then this actually already starts to do like handling mesh messages and handling all kinds of this also keeps the whole shadow info and other things for the config, channels, etc. So when there's response channels, keeps a map of response channels in SCD responses packet ID to forward responses. Interesting. So who registers to on that? On send admin message. Oh. So used to wait for a response in a blocking manner in send admin message. So that's not the worst pattern, I think. I hate this stuff because it's like so. This stuff is hard. Trying to think how I did these kinds of things in the past. Okay. I built like a whole Bluetooth stack forever ago. That was like 20, 20, 20 years ago, 22 years ago. Jesus. How did I do it? Because I had like the whole HCI. So you had like serial interface, then HCI, then L2 cap. And then on top of L2 cap, you had the actual L2 cap was like connection already, right? Already? L2 cap? Yeah, that's the thing that does multiplexing. Does it already have streams? Or is this still UDP layer? I think this was the UDP layer, right? I don't know. So my brain's giving out. It's pretty bad. All right, what are we going to do with this? I do want to have something that opens the serial port and does a heartbeat. And it does so in by having, I don't think the heartbeat loop should, all of the heartbeat loop should do is put something into the message queue to be sent out. The message queue is being filled by writers, and then there's a incoming. The message queue gets read, and those packets that try to be sent to the serial interface, which might, however, encounter a EOF, in which case the message should be knacked. So I think I kind of want to do this with Watermill. I kind of want to do this with Watermill. So maybe we'll switch into vibe mode. Let's switch into vibe mode. Let's do it in cursor. All right, I want to implement a meshtastic client that uses Watermill event-driven architecture. It uses, I want to start with the following setup. Open a serial interface. Publish low-level events to the topic serial port name. This is like connected. So I don't know. Opened device EOF plus reconnection. Red bytes. Should this be the topic? Should be serial dot events. You can ask for bytes to be for a packet, full packet, to be written with serial commands. Port name, written byte, ACK. The serial device itself should be configured like in stream.go serial client.go, but for now skip all the rest. Just do low level. Main create router with go channel pub sub. Create debug printer for serial events topic and decoding. Organization. Command apps meshtastic event driven. It's going to call this an experiment. And then we have main.go plus pkg. Inside that folder, pkg serial client.go and pkg serial events plus one file per event. Create a decent specification and guide on how to implement this in ttemp and Google Labs. So actually I should put this in here as well. We'll see. So where am I in the project? It's well, I haven't given it any of the meshtastic spec. um, I looked a little bit at the big boo-boo mess that it did yesterday, and also I'm just like trying to come up with a good architecture for this like multi-layered thing, right? Like we have a point-to-point serial interface that has its quirks anyway because there's Unix underneath. But then this is used to already multiplex like log lines plus packets. And then those packets are actually going to be, I think, even more multiplexing all kinds of events, like nodes have appeared, like all of these kinds of things, right? So I'm trying to find a good way to build this without having too many like clever Go channels or Go routines. I want something that's fairly simple and matches the low level primitives that are going to happen, right? Like the low level primitive one that we have is like just a serial interface, which is a USB serial interface, which means that there's actually yet another protocol underneath. And USB is something I know pretty well because I've been building USB interfaces for a long time. I stopped 10 years ago, so I don't know anything about the USB 3 kind of stuff, but um, but I have a good understanding of like say maybe where end of files might be coming from or why there might be short reads or those kinds of things. So I want this lowest level, which is going to open the serial interface on the Linux side and it is going to receive and send bytes, to have this as a primitive. But already there's going to be a reconnection loop because I know that when say like one of these little dudes, which are where? Like I haven't even looked at them, right? Like one of these little dudes goes to sleep, it will close the USB interface, which will cause the Linux kernel to say like, oh my god, all these errors, and it will like close my serial socket. Like there's so many layers already, right? But ultimately, what I want at the end is like a nice UI with showing me all the devices I've connected to my computer, of which I can have many, and I also want to see like their current connection status. You know, if there's issues with the serial, I kind of want to see that. I want to be able to say like, oh, please show me like the lowest level communication that's going on. But then on top of that, I want to see things like, oh, I'm reading the config, and then I want to send an event that says like I'm writing the config, and I want to have like a little spinner and like, you know, so I'm building it up as an event-driven distributed system, basically, as if this was like a cloud project, because ultimately it is, right? Like embedded is really just like the same as cloud or like front end UI. It's all distributed systems. So one thing that I've started to recognize is that this kind of stuff is really useful to keep AMP on its toes. So the watermill topics, I'm going to make one topic for events and one topic for commands. We have a couple of events here for opened, EOF, reconnect, and then error. Serial client. No, we're not going to embed or wrap. No. So add error message. We are not wrapping or embedding anything. This is a new implementation. The serial client in this case is going to be what is it going to be actually exactly? What's the main loop going to be? is going to be a struct with a state machine and an potentially opened file descriptor for the serial interface. One handler plus one handler listening to serial commands, port name plus a open method. Takes a watermill publisher to publish to the serial commands topic. All right. Make a minimal implementation that takes an optional port name, default TTY-ASCM0, and logs copiously with 0 log for easier debugging. Use a glaze bear command. See using commands. For now, still just update the spec. Yeah, this like so Corey, this kind of like protocol stuff is like a nightmare actually. Like I'm really kind of, because I do want to, because I think I do want to have like some real meshtastic stuff, not just like, because the meshtastic client stuff was actually working pretty well yesterday, and I was like, oh, I want a REPL and I want like a UI that responds like dynamically, but for like command line verbs and stuff like that, it was working really well, which was encouraging. And the other goal that I have is like, okay, well, how do I approach building complex things like this without fully switching into engineering brain? And I did switch into engineering brain a little bit right now, right? But still the higher level design stuff is I do want to get more comfortable building this kind of on Rails, and I'm getting there. I'm kind of getting there where I'm trying to find the pieces of technology that allow me to push the vibe really far, is basically what it is. And Watermill is one of them, because it allows me to have like a couple of words that will trigger the training corpus to pull out like, you know, a set of event middlewares, and with Sonnet 4, it's getting better. Also, obviously, I want to have like my own documents that I want to reuse, and I started building some of those yesterday as well. But this is also just like, say, when you use Redux in React apps, it's event driven because events have names, and they also allow you to like very decompartmentalize different parts of your application, right? Like microservices. That makes it easy to vibe code, because I can vibe code a whole mess that's however going to be behind a couple of events. So even if this is like a complete mess, it will actually be fairly easy to just be like, yeah, whatever, go away, dude. Or like add a new functionality that's like self-contained, that is basically a greenfield, but is able to integrate into this bigger system. And what I need to know is like the event signatures and their meaning, right? So yeah, I think this is right, like state machines, events, those I find are good architectural patterns to work well with LLMs. At least they work well with my brain. So I'm like, maybe my brain works well. I don't know. But so, ooh, sorry. I don't know what the recoverer does, but this will also handle like all the retries of sending messages out for payloads and stuff like that, right? So, what I want to have is, all right. I wonder if I should use Amcode. I'm going to use Amcode. I kind of want to explore this combo of Amcode and doing with M3, with O3, sorry. The one thing I'm wondering is the meshtastic send a wake up. And then all of these guys, mesh PB, where has it been generated from? Meshtastic mesh.proto. It's coming from the protobufs here, right? So is there like a heartbeat here? So this is, so here we could pull in the Python stuff, right? Look in meshtastic Python for the heartbeat or the protobuf so that we can flesh out the tiny app to just send wake up heartbeat in a loop for testing, see if something comes back. What do you mean by that's what I've done? Like, what are you referring to? Is that you're referring to the overall architecture concept or to something else? I forgot how like brain twiddling all of this is, and like I ate like an insane amount of pastries before I started the stream, and like now I regret it because my brain's like not great. All right, so from inspection of blah, 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 and the upstream mesh proto, heartbeat is an empty protobuf message declared in meshtastic. A heartbeat keeps the serial link alive. Stock Python client sends it every 300 seconds. Uses generated protos, wake up sequence, bytes, repeat 32, and then it writes it. Send heartbeat frame each tick. All right, so this is our printer. All right, so expand the document to explain how to generate and import the protos, how to generate the proto definitions. Remember, we want a standalone fresh implementation. The wake up and tick loop should be its own microservice listening to the topic and sending commands over Watermill as well. So we're going to do something like a microservice architecture, basically. Yeah, in this case, I'm thinking quite a bit harder, I think, because I don't trust the Python implementation. I'm also not too interested in reading it. I have strong opinion on how to design this stuff, and but also here I'm really like, after vibing this to shreds, there's like, okay, well, I got really far vibing it, right? Like it cleared a lot of hurdles that I'm trying to find, like, where do I deceive myself compared to like how fast would I have been if I did this by hand and, you know, would have learned like more of the primitives as I go in. Now I've learned that like a lot of things worked. I was able to send messages to other nodes. I was able to see like node hops. Like I was able to see quite a bit of things with whatever trash it vibed yesterday. And that means that underneath all of these Go files and stuff like that, there was meat enough to get pretty far. And that gives me the confidence of like, okay, we can now, I don't know, maybe it would have worked also for longer term, I'd be like, okay, well, this is fine. Like I would have shredded it somewhere else. So I'm trying to figure out, um, where am I deceiving myself that things are going faster with an LLM versus how much effort do I need to put into all of this that I ultimately don't care about, right? Like once I built all of this, like super, it's cool to know that like with this event driven architecture, I know that I can rest, that I can sleep soundly knowing that things will scale well. Yeah, so do you have ideas for your documentation workflow? Um, yeah, like the ideation stage. I mean, I started the meshtastic client is like that was something I vibed yesterday. If you look at the stream yesterday, I think I just like let it run in the background until it like exhausted itself. Um, yeah, I learned a lot with shred number one, right? I learned that I could get really far just shredding. And the thing is that while I was shredding, I could have maybe paid more attention and, steered it right. But then, isn't that what I'm doing right now? Right? It's like, because there's truth to the fact that LLMs just like deceive you, right? Like it's hard for me to tell, am I trying to offload the thinking I should have done myself? Where do I find this like boundary of like, yeah, sure, of course I want to offload thinking. Like this stuff is like really exhausting and I want a machine to do it for me. But I do also still need to think a little bit. And so which part of those are interesting, which ones are not? Yeah. So throwing away is definitely something that's worth it, right? It's like, and it's like, but do I want to throw all of this away? Do I want to look a little bit at what is there? Because what I did right now takes time too, right? Like often I have this like opposite effect where I'm going to where I go somewhere really deep and I learn things by myself, and at the end of the day I'm like, oh, but I can just prompt the LLM to do it for me. And I was like, you're an idiot, you spent like 4 hours on this problem that then was one shot by an LLM that you gave no context for. So it's a really like jagged boundary of like what am I doing exactly? Yeah, yeah, the forensic records, right? Like that's something where I do need to teach my agents to write stuff in a SQLite database because they keep like pushing garbage in random files, and then that's also like an issue, right? It's an issue for me as well because I also have like 80 million documentation files, and the best way I found to store them is like to put them by date. Um, Actually, why don't I put that into my agent MD actually? Uh, so this is general guidelines, right? This is where all temporary documentation, as well as debugging logs and other reports, go. Because you end up having these things here, and it's like, okay, well, what implementation summary was this? Like yesterday, I kind of knew maybe, but now I have like no idea. Or like the EOF fix, like was this something at the beginning? Was this something at the end? Was this is this even correct? Like what happened here? Um, so those are kind of like useless now, right? Like they're actually maybe even dangerous. Um, so what I was thinking, right, is like, and I just like instead of yapping, I should just build these things, but then I built other things. One thing I want to experiment with is having like a garbage collector agent run whose only purpose is to look at the Git log and the files that are lying around and like kind of saying like this is good, this is not good, but not write any code. Like it's not allowed to do any modifying action. It's allowed to run things, but it's not allowed to modify code files. And then that could kind of run either within a session, right? Or each night, saying like, oh, this looks out of date, this doesn't correspond to the source code, like those kinds of things. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be uncovered here by trying to do really hard things, right? And then finding prompting only goes so far, as you said, like, right, like they forget, they get overridden by other prompts. I think if you give them like interesting tools or functions, then they are, I think, able to do a little bit more with it. And you know, I've never tried it in AMP code, but I do think that I have it actually configured. Let me actually go see Jesus. So let's go see Jesus. Let's reinstall Jesus actually. And then, oh, I broke the Cobra command thing. So let me just quickly clean this up. This is my new version. Help command, and then set up Cobra system. Help command. This is completely without autocomplete, just like raw vim, like totally raw dogging it. Will it work? I still have it. I still have it. I can still write code by hand. All right. Anyway, what was I doing? All right. So the MCP is still there. Jesus REPL. Okay. And then where are the MCPs for M code? MCP UI, M code config, but that's not the M code that I want. That's the wrong M code. Do I really have to read the docs? I don't want to read the docs. Custom tools, MCP in your AMP servers in your configuration file. It has VS Code settings. AMP MCP servers. So why should I fix this while we're at it? Let's do that. Let's fix this. Let's fix this tool. So WSM create, and then the repo is going to be GoGo MCP glazed as well. And then we're going to call this MCP AMP settings. I'm going to go in here, and then we're going to start AMP. Actually, I'm going to go into GoGo MCP, go work use dot. We're going to go into glazed, go work use dot amp, editing the amp MCP settings in the TUI should edit config amp settings JSON. Use xdg config path finder. Make rename the current amp1 to amp cursor. I think that should be enough, actually. Hey Matt, my tooling and how I set up my agents. So I don't use any MCP servers, to be honest. I use AmpCode as an agent and otherwise Cursor, and then my own little command line tools. No, I don't have them documented, but I do want to have this like nightly agent that is going to clean up my documentation. So I actually started playing with that, and that works pretty well. I had like one of these agents go over my repo and say like, can you just like tell me what's deprecated, what's not deprecated, and rewrite the README. So I think I did that on this repo here. And I think this now has a pretty up-to-date README, for example. So this was like entirely cleaned up by AMP code, where I basically just said like find everything that's deprecated, delete it, find everything XYZ, and it kind of did a good job, but it like still has these things where there's like examples things here, like you can see that there's like duplicates here. It only goes so far. Some of it is my fault, like this is clearly just not relevant anymore. And then those are like test programs that it created. So there's like a lot of prompting that should go on. And because I built so much stuff, there's so much cleanup that I do that there's even more cleanup to do all the time, right? So I'm like I could bash myself and say like, you should clean up more. And then I'm already cleaning up all the time. But so this was pretty cool, at least for the README. Because if you go to all the projects of mine, I'm like, they're actually hyper documented, but then the README is just like literally the README from 3 years ago that I never updated. But they are fully documented. If you install them, they also have like package installation and all of that, all of these instructions being not present on here. Right? There's like, how do you install it? You do go run command blaze. That's actually totally out of date. You can install it with Homebrew. There's like tons of ways of installing it. But then, and this is something that I was actually merging a little bit earlier, there's this help system which has like 3 types of topics which are not exposed in the UI now, but there's examples, and then there's topics, and then there's applications, and then there's tutorials as well. And actually you can even like query them. There's like a little query language here, which is actually pretty neat. So there's a lot of effort that I put into it, but I'm literally the only person who uses it. So I kind of never think of writing about it. Oh, that's interesting, Corey. Like your live cleaning up, is that I'm not able to click on this. I'm not able to click on this because I don't know, because this is a shitty program. I literally can't copy paste. Copy, visit link. All right, cool. Yeah. So you do the amp, analyze the history, the commit history, do this kind of like little cleanup, right? Yeah. I definitely, yeah, just like nightly agent, or like just so this is something that would be interesting, right? And we can actually, since we have like a start here, I'm going to connect the radio actually. Where is it though? Got my flipper 0, which which is fun. So I did a bunch of free RTOS vibe coding on the Flipper Zero. Had it also like port the whole UI system to C++. That was like ages ago, it seems. Uh, so anyway, here's the radio. I'm gonna plug it in, and then what was I doing in this other window? I was like trying to give it an MCP to do things. So while I'm focusing on the MCP part, let me actually have it implement this um, and use the connected device. Um, yeah, look at this garbage here. See, this is like how it starts. Should I leave it like that? Maybe I'll leave it like that, but then I remove this one for now. Um, holy crap, what is it telling me here? Why is it so freaking keen on USB 0 when I tell it ACM 0 all the time? And it's like, it's crazy. I noticed that yesterday. I was like, ACM 0, dude. And it's like, nope, USB 0. So what's interesting, what I was going to say is that um, well, this is going to be the first pass, right? So it's not going to be worth really analyzing after the fact. But what I was going to play with, and oh man, Claude is like, it's always a gamble, right? But like, make a simplistic mermaid diagram of a team of over-eager engineers building a system and doing a ton of duplicated work and messing up their directories with bad documentation and files everywhere of the workflow for a nightly crew of experienced developers going over these files and analyzing, going over their mess and making a cleanup report and review. I want to see a control flow diagram of the cleanup crew and their tools and processes. So this is something I've been playing with where, I mean, this is literally kind of what's happening, right? If you call AMP code or Claude agent or whatever an overeager engineer, which kind of is, and they make like a whole mess because they don't coordinate with each other, right? But they kind of still the thing, and I'm experimenting here. I did experiment a little bit. This is not a great prompt, but oh man, it's like a good start here. Off to a good start. So no, they don't have force push. They just like leave docs everywhere. This is not all that interesting, to be honest. So this was not that interesting. Let's go over. So this little refactor that I have going here. I don't know how often I committed during my meshtastic thing here, but I think I did. right? There's like all of these intermediate docs here. Uh, yeah, so yeah, there's really quite a bit of history here. So I think that's where I started, right? And then this was like the 50,000 line beginning commit, but um, I was like, maybe we can here the concrete flow that these engineers did use concrete tools and methodologies and write up a set of instructions for the cleanup crew. So the mermaid was like a little bit too early. Um, but the thing is that if you describe things this way, and then especially if you put them down into a mermaid diagram of like basically a plan of how people should work together, you can paste that into M code and it will actually execute that stuff in sub agents. Oh, I didn't share the commit log. Uh, so no, not concrete cleanup instructions, but instead how to investigate problems that look similar. Commit messages with emoji but no substance. Oh. So, yeah. Okay. So the purpose of the mermaid diagram is that it will prompt it pretty hard of how it's going to parallelize its sub-agents. And then it will also, like, it's just a very concise way of saying, like, do this and then do that and then do this and then do that and then visualizing that, right? It's like basically a DSL for a workflow, right? Um, so now make a mermaid workflow for how to iterate and clean up and write reports using these primitives. I'm experimenting with this. Is not going great. Um, and Claude is not helping. Yeah, Claude is not helping. It's not the best model to do this kind of stuff. And it has, why is the mermaid not rendering? Oh my god. And yeah, this has, it's not good. This was not the best model to do this. Let's try again. We have a big mess here, and then just paste this, write a set of instructions to a team of developers on how to approach messes that are similar. Make sure problems can be duplicated code, dead code, documentation out of date, things littered all over. It should be a clean workflow, step by step, output as planned UML. Yeah, it's usually it renders it, but we'll see. In a way, I'm more interested in like the arrows that it does, right? Like, because it's just like this, because it's been trained quite a bit on like Mermaid being coupled to code and how to execute something. It's like it's a really like strong prompting technique to say like, look, this is what you should do, and then put a mermaid diagram of the workflow it should do instead of trying to put it down into text. Because you can do loops, you can do all kinds of things. If you use pseudocode, it's like often too much code. Like it that was very distracting for it. But so if you take like plant UML, I should do this kind of stuff in Cursor because there I have like my plant UML renderer. So it it does these things, right? Like this is pretty cool in terms of workflow, right? And so I mean it's not fully great. This is only about reviewing and writing refactoring plans. We are not touching any code. We can build and run it, however. Build it, run it, read it, analyze it, simplify a bit more. I'll show you actually, right? It's like I've been doing this a little bit for implementation plans where I was like, oh, I want to build this feature and I need to do this first, but then I need to do these things in parallel. And then at the end, I need to do this and this. Please make a mermaid diagram. And then I pasted that and it was like much stronger in terms of prompting than not. So we'll see. Man, this is so slow. Go test, assume diagram, syntax error. Is it the font size? Is it the font size thing? No, it's not the. Is it the font size? No. And I can't even copy paste because the thing that comes back is an image. No, right. I should just, I get a syntax error on font size 10. Go test something. Assume diagram type activity. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Let's see. This might be too simplistic for my purposes. Yeah. Too simplistic. I want some loops, intermediate documents, etc. Then we can actually let it go on this Google Labs, right? Like we're gonna fork it so we have a separate work tree and then just have it like analyze it. Yeah, sounds good. I'm just gonna take that. Like I don't care if it's like not fully perfect or not. I'm just like curious. So we have this meshtastic client refactor, right? So I'm gonna fork that. And I'm going to call it meshtastic client automated review. A new workspace name, meshtastic client refactor. So now it's going to create a new work tree for all the repos that I had in there, right? So for all 4 repos, it's going to go there. This tool is entirely vibe coded. I have no idea how it works. I also had no idea what it did when it refactored it, but it broke it. so much for that. All right, so we're going to go into M code. we're going to say using subagents, we want to analyze go labs command apps meshtastic. What is it called? Meshtastic main.go. Oh yeah, it's command apps meshtastics. Only that directory, but the original Python is in meshtastic Python, from which it's inspired. Here's the review plan so that you can parallelize, split up the work. Nope. Where is the UML? Now we're going to paste that. Let's go. Well, I don't know why I put this in, but hopefully that doesn't make it too tricky. Let's see what happens. And my brain is pretty tired tonight, so I'm actually maybe going to not do 18 things at once. Maybe I'll just watch that. And then there was, however, this other... so that's my rate limiter. There was this UI thing that I just vibed, right? So let's just take a look at that one, which was the MCP AMP settings. So here, if I go into go MCP and I go run go MCP, then I have, it doesn't compile. So I'm going to say I want to compile and run to test the terminal UI, use tmux to interact with it. I want to edit both AMP settings and add the MCP Jesus MCP start. So the cool thing with use tmux, you'll see it's like my favorite trick. Oh yeah, I think it's totally fine to have a tool that like, I don't know how it works, but like it hasn't let me down, which is pretty cool. I have like tons of little quality of life improvements. And at some point I was like, you know, these quality of life improvements, they seem like harder and harder to put into it. And then I saw that there was like a 2000 line Go file and I was like, okay, split that please. And then when it split it, it was like, it just broke everything. So that's where I was like, okay, literally I had a 2-word prompt, right? Like I opened the AMP code and I was like, refactor this shit. And it did refactor it, but like nothing really worked after that. It like looked like it worked, but it didn't. And so that's where I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to vibe refactor. And then I had like a huge things to do at work, which was miles more complicated. And that really put me through its paces. Like every day it puts me through its paces. It's like a wild thing. But then also last weekend, I started like refactoring a bunch of things here and there, started extracting components. So I've been like messing about with all of these things. And I think like an automated agent to do cleanup is one of the most promising things. And also having something like that in the loop as part of a coding agent, right? And then that one, I don't think you can commoditize it all that much, right? It's like I have a certain taste and I want to be absolutely crucially sure that this taste is enforced on my repo, and this taste requires a lot of iteration on a certain prompt. So I don't think it's something that, I mean, obviously you can make a tool that's like, oh, we're going to be super opinionated on what you can build. And I think that's what a lot of this will get to, right? Where people are going to say like, in this mode, this is like React with Tailwind with these kind of web apps, and then that's it. And like, if that's what you like, then use it like Rails. And if that's not what you like, then like go look somewhere else, right? And it's not just an MCP, it's going to be like this whole, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all prompting, but it's like, check this out. I love this so much. So uh, use capture pane. I told you to use capture pane. You little numbwit. Um, oh my God! See, it's like starting to create garbage everywhere. Those are prompts I should say. Like if you want to build like a new test go, you shouldn't. Um, yeah, the problem is like writing this little guy, right? Like it's actually not that simple. It's like a prompt file, an agent MD doesn't get you all the way there. It helps a lot, but you really want to have this like more interactive of like this is the tools you should use to test this kind of things and like making them present in a certain way. Um, See how this is crazy? You could see my you can see it like messing with my terminal UI and making sure it works. It's like playwright for play. Oh, I love it. And then it's going to be like, okay, well let's look at the settings, and then it's going to make sure that it worked. And you can tell it to like tail log files or like run, two servers at once. So if I do event driven stuff, I'll have it like run the Redis on one hand, and I'll have it do like all of these things. It's like I love it so much. The Tmux trick. Um, yeah, I'm really curious to see. I mean, I'm experimenting with these little things, right? Um, and obviously, I should build my own agent. The thing I wanted to do with this whole like MCP UI is that I wanted to load Jesus, which is like my JavaScript MCP, which has a database, and then basically adding that to the agent MD, saying like always put, investigate the schema. Um, what was your Tmux trick? It's just saying like use Tmux. It's this. I want to compile and run go MCP to test the terminal UI. Use Tmux to interact with it. I want to edit both AMP settings and add the MCP Jesus MCP start. You literally just use Tmux. Use QEMU is pretty nice too. If you want to like not fuck with your host system and you say like, oh, please like install Kubernetes, use QEMU. It will do that, which is amazing. So it's really useful for say Manus, right? So like Manus spins up a VM, but like you can't like do everything you want in the VM. So for example, you can't like run Docker containers. And that like pissed me off so much. And I said like, oh, well, why don't I have a VM run in the VM? And that worked. Yeah, exactly. So it's not just with the terminal UI. It's like Tmux allows it to do, right? Like there's often a problem with, for example, when you run servers, um, on, say on port 8080, right? And then so it will run it and we'll run it in the background, and then it will like try to interact with it, but somehow it's crashed. So it's going to try to find it, and it's going to like try to kill it, but it kills like the run process. Like those are things that happen pretty often to me when I program. And that was always annoying. I was like, oh, well, it has to start the web servers. Like, is it going to work this time, or is it going to be like messing it up and I'll have to intervene? Yeah, it's able to screenshot the Tmux window using capture pane. So let me show you. Let me commit this, right? Like, cause I think now this is now running, and I have. Oh, but I don't have. Okay, so let me commit this. I wonder what it did in the diff. So it fixed the help system. That's cool. Manages the AMP user settings configuration. Okay, so that's cool. It does config. Oh, but now it does. Okay, so it misunderstood. It did a weird thing here. All right, so let me commit. No, actually, I want both AMP cursor, which was what was the path for AMP cursor? it was config cursor users, config cursor user settings JSON, and the normal amp running outside of cursor, which is config amp settings JSON. Fix and then test both. So you'll see what it's going to do here. It's basically Puppeteer, right? Except here it can basically, it's not just it can run one tool, it can like split the tmux, which is like a window manager for terminals. It can split it into multiple panes. So what I'm doing at work right now is like I have a job queue and I have an event queue and I have like something that pulls the database to show the status. And then I have one terminal where it's running commands and I have another one where it's telling the log files. So it is able to read all of these 6 things at once without problem. And also it's able to like kill all of them at once with a very clear command, which is called this like tmux quit session and then the name of the session. So not only does it have the opportunity to read like many things, but it has like clear names to kill them or to start them or like to interact with them, which helps a lot. Because like if it runs things, you know, with ampersand in the background, like, and then it tries to do like, oh, let me grep for like HTTP server and kill the first one that comes back, and you're like, don't do that, because it's not called HTTP server, it's called like go run something. And then, you know, it's like it's that solved just like so many problems of agents going wrong for me. That was like, okay, why did I never use? It's like literally 2 words, right? It can track the multiple panes, kind of. So it's, you can give names to windows, which are not panes, right? But so just to show you something that I did earlier at work. So batch index river queue, and then let me show you what it did. Oh, where are they? Oh, there they are, right? So I asked it to group some of these things into shell scripts. So let me syntax highlight that. So it starts the session, right? And then I tell it to like split this into multiple panes, like window horizontally or not. And then it sets up the pane directories. And then this is kind of enough to tell it like which pane. It's not mixing them up. It's like not super elegant. I wish I could give them like proper names, because that always helps. But this was kind of robust enough. It's like, I'm going to play more with this concept of having it like writing these shell scripts or JavaScript things. Yeah, man, it's like I'm like, why didn't I think of this like a year ago? I was like, once I tried it, I was like, man, this is so easy. The other thing I'm using is like VHS. So I don't know if you know VHS by Charm Bracelet. Goodbye. VHS is like, it's kind of like a script, and then it records the terminal, and it can do like GIFs, animated GIFs or PNG screenshots. And I modified it to do text screenshots as well. So I'll show you. I think it's let's add a server to the cursor config to make sure it works correctly. Like, what are you doing, bro? it's like always want to do more than I asked it. Always wants to do more. Always more. I hate it. Cool, you added a Blender MCP that does LS. Man. But I'll show you the VHS. So it's going to say like that it worked, And this eats kind of like quite a bit of tokens, right? Like this is not super elegant, and I want to find like a better way of doing this. Because it's a lot of tool calls. All right, but yeah, so it's like ask anima, or like I hate this name. I'm always like, oh, ask anima. Um, but if you look at right, like if you look at this, if you save this locally, and then you look at what comes out of here, this is literally just a dump of the stuff that gets sent to the terminal, right? And you can't say like, oh, give me what it looks like at second 3. Um, yeah, exactly, right. It's so I had tools like I wonder where they are now because those were fun. Is it in here? Yeah, asking them I split. This was a long time ago, man. This was like copy paste days, vibe coding. Um, how old is this? A year and and 8 months. Uh, you could see the difference in like what vibe coding looked like back then. It was like, don't try to do too much. Um, yeah. So anyway, what VHS does is so I think this works now pretty well, right? Let me just before I nuke everything. MCD amp settings, and then we go into go MCP, and um, where's the git commit message? Is it here? Yeah, okay. Let me just commit that and remove the git commit message. And so write a couple of VHS scripts. The local version supports screenshot xxxtxt for txt screenshots to showcase the TUI. Then run them. Yeah, ass anima. So you'll see what VHS does. It will like create a tape. It's called a tape, which is basically the same stuff as like the send keys. So I was using that for a while, and it was good, but it takes like a long time to run because it reruns it from the start every time, basically. And then at someday I was like, why don't you use Tmux, man? And I think that was like 3 weeks ago or so, and since then I've been like on a rampage with that. Um, but you could see like if I look here at where's my QEMU? So I had it like install. I had to like build a like not a window manager, but something like similar to control and query i3. So I had it like basically um, build like a little thing that shows me which tmux it's on, and it was basically able to run it, run the whole thing on a VM and then connect over VNC and kind of like interact with it. And I'm sure you could build like a window manager this way. Which was funny because I told it like use QEMU and VNC, and then that was it. Right? It's like let me see. What was my prompt when I did that? It's not long ago. Install QEMU, then install i3, then write a program Golang that queries i3 to get the windows for each desktop. Use term bracelet bubble T, take screenshots for each step. Yeah, that's it. I didn't even tell it VNC. I've never tried this one, so I wonder if it works. Like this should kind of work out of the box. Let's go take a look. We are the 10th today. I haven't done Manus unwrapping in a while. Manus presents is what I call them. All right, so i3 project essentials. Why is that such a weird name? Why is that such a weird name? AI expert system enhanced. That's something else, right? What is this? QEMU to install. Oh, I had to build like an AI system on top of Kubernetes. That's the one. And then yeah, so i3 project essentials. Interesting. So if we go see this in i3 window manager, go i3 window manager. How does it work? Go mod download, go build. It should show like a command line window. XDo tool for cursor movement. Curious to see what. Oh, it even like used a Go package for i3. I didn't know that that existed. i3 is not running or accessible. No socket path. Interesting. All right, but that's for another day. Like, what am I doing here? Oh, I didn't give. So this is our code review thing, by the way. That's still running. So here it's recording. This is a VHS tape. They look like this. They basically look like type this, sleep, type this, sleep. And so that's why it's really slow. And the Tmux was like faster. Yeah, the feedback loops, right? That's, I think, really how do you get good feedback loops going? And so, for example, one thing that I have, so see, this is the screenshots that it's able to take basically out of text applications, which is like the most best ever screenshot I could have, and it's very token low, right? Here's another screenshot, and then it's able to invalid command cursor amp because of the dash, right? Yeah. By the way, what happened to my pull request for this? I hope that they put it in because it's always a pain to teach Manus to install this version. Is there comments? Oh yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see here. Can you elaborate? And then what was Carlos? My use case, I use it very often for LLM agents to snapshot intermediate steps, either for their own sake or for me to verify they actually implemented what I wanted. All right, cool. Where were we at? Yeah, so that's VHS for you. And I mean, it's gonna litter my stuff here, right? So the cool thing is that, oh, I'm not on a Mac. Home manual workspaces. Let me see. MCP amp settings, go MCP demos. Is that where they are? Is that you can see this as well? Oh my God, what is that horrible font? That's so fucking horrible. What's going on? But anyway, that's like a nice thing to have come out of of say like a background agent, and it doesn't know how to do tab. That's funny too. So right, like this was not all that great. Tmux works much better, but it's also still very nice to have this generated by agents who are able to do that because it's nice for documentation, for example, as well. So I'm going to kill all of those. If we now run the UI here, and then this guy has like removed quite a bit of shit here, right? UVX Blender MCP. Okay, so that's good. That's the test that we can delete. Jesus, JetBrains. I don't want this. I don't want the text editor. What is the text editor? Goodbye. Oh yeah, I remember what that was. Goodbye. So Jesus is enabled. So this was the one in cursor, and then amp here. I'm going to. All right, this was nice, right? So the only thing to do is format and lint it, which seems to work. And then we'll pull request it so that we're on top of our shit. Oh, look at that. I closed it too soon. So fix this stuff in this sub agent. Run make lint. No need to test with tmux or PHS. All right. Yeah, I'm sure there's like more that can be done with the tmux control. So I have a bunch of like tmux control ideas that I had Manus do. There's also like, I don't remember if I had it build like a JavaScript wrapper around tmux. Because I really think the code act pattern is like the way to go. Why does this not? Oh, there we go. So command palette and bubble T. So this is the one for i3. Why can't these things not have like good searches? It's like killing me. Create a command palette with tmux overlay. Oh no, so that's something else. Create SSH app, build AI, expert system, Q3S, Redis bindings, build a Goja and tmux app. What's that? Yeah, build Go CLI to control tmux. Yeah, and so that's where the VHS doesn't work. And I think that's the day where I realized, oh, I can actually use tmux to do this stuff because this doesn't work. But there's basically a tmux JavaScript controller, and the tmux JavaScript controller allows you to do this and this. So instead of like writing ugly shell scripts or having the thing iterate, you can start writing JavaScript, which the models know pretty well, right? And so, for example, store all the snapshots in the database. Those kinds of things, which get ugly fast on the command line, right? But so I'm curious to see here, if I start AMP, no, which MCPs tools do you have? Does it have Jesus now? You don't need to think about that. Oh my God. No MCPs? AMP MCP servers, is that not the... M code. Oh, because the command is, it got the command wrong. Um, no, that's not what I want. I want the manual. MCP servers. Oops. Yeah, I got this wrong. Jesus. MCP start. So I wonder why it's not necessarily able to run this. Maybe I broke it. But I really want to have this like going in AMP at some point. I never really tested it. So actually, I do need to pull request my other thing before I forget. So it fixed all of these. Make lint. All right, cool. Fix lint and compilation. Yeah, no, don't do this. And then make bump glaze to bump the dependencies. Cool. Make lint. Make Docker lint would be the better one. Make Docker lint. It's crazy, like all of these things, like run lint in a Docker, do XYZ, do all of these like insanely anal things. Like, I mean, I just vibed them. um, it's so funny to be like, it's this weird discourse, right? Like, oh, LLMs are gonna destroy software engineering. I'm like, man, I'm like stoned, and yet my CI/CD is like on point. It's so funny because like every single one of my open source stuff has actually way too much CI/CD. I was like, oh, why don't I add this? Why don't I add that? Why don't I do this? You'll see once I pull request it, it's gonna be funny. Um, but then even those things, I have like every little thing tweaked and turned on. It's just so funny. Like I do vibe like a lot of garbage, but also like I don't think I ever reached that code quality, not nearly as close as with these things, right? Could not import internal go experiments JS web server. This can be killed, right? The experimental JS web server. I'm going to kill it because that's actually, that was Jesus before it was Jesus. All right. Fire, remove JS web server, bump dependencies. My git commit are not like the best, but they never were. There's like git hooks on everything. It's actually fucking annoying. Um, I do like killer pull requests. Create pull request. Add MCP editing for AMP cursor and not cursor. Remove alt crap. Yes. What was that? What was those early messages? I didn't know that could happen. All right, so this PR support, AMP code, new features, new AMP code. Nope, I don't care. Actually, configuration, new features. All right, that is okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that's my CI/CD pipeline now. This is like every little thing that I found. I was like, why not add it? Why not add that? Why not add this? Yeah, yeah, it's interesting, right? And then the fact that it does things so much worse is like I think mostly that we don't know which tools to build right now. It's like I don't think we need new models. I think we need to basically become better at agents, right? And then the only thing that's going to be left is taste, I think. And taste is hard to, or like, I I think we already have, we already have like really good React Next.js kind of agents that allow people to really build something that's not collapsing as fast as the stuff I was doing here, right? Like this collapses pretty fast if you just raw dog Claude Code or M Code. But if you do something like web apps, I have a friend who's not a developer who's been like churning at his app, and it still looks pretty good, man. It's like it has like all kinds of like little weird vibe things, but like overall, there is a very definite way of building these kinds of applications that is not only well present in the training corpus, but is also easy to enforce, I think, with a specific agent. So I'm thinking of Replit. I think he was using Replit. Um, and I think as we become better at designing agents so that I can build something that's just as robust for my own code base, then I'm not sure if on larger, more complex stuff, it will just like, I mean, it will burn more electricity than I would. But um, the thing that, like, I really don't know where our profession is going, man. It's like I don't think we need new models. I don't think we need very much new concepts. I think we need to become better at building agents um, and I mean, obviously, I'm struggling here to get my MCP going, so I'm definitely not there. What is this? Your dependency bump says that you should not bump this. This is all JS web server crap. All right, let me resolve conflict. Are you going to resolve the conflict by yourself? Yeah, probably will. Um, I really want to get this MCP going just to try something out. Uh, so let's go here. Oh man, they changed it all. Where's MCP? Is it here? So does this have Jesus? No, it doesn't have Jesus. And also, like, I hate editing this JSON. That's why I built this thing in the first place. Uh, oh, and then I wanted to install it, right? So we have now pull requested it. I'm going to fetch origin. I'm going to rebase origin main just to make my tool happy. I'm going to clean df, and then I'm going to delete MCP amp settings. It's going to check. It's going to tell me everything has been merged. You cannot undo this. I'm like, yep, that's fine. And now I can go here, rebase on main, and then make install. And then if I do MCP UI, I can now edit cursor and I can add Jesus, MCP start. And I should have it in here. 0 tools enabled. Is that because it has a bug when running? Or is it because Man, when did I break this? Did I even break this? Client, MCP client, command usage, executing command usage, len aliases. Oh, look, I broke something. I broke something pretty bad. That's my new help system is broken. All right, well, I think that's also like just like a sign to call it a night. See, but I'm pretty sure that's something I would have done, if not worse, when doing this by hand. What is this? What is this? Is this just unknown flag dash dash UI? That's so fun. That's so funny. Because the templates is actually not something I changed. Anyway, I'll look at that tomorrow. But it doesn't happen with like others, right? Like this one works. It's maybe because it has no documentation. Maybe that's like the downfall is like when there's no documentation pages, everything fails. Help about any command for any command in the application. I don't think it has anything, right? Yeah, there's like no documentation registered at all. MCP help. That's so funny. That's so funny. I wonder about the code review that it did here, though. You know, like the plant UML thing that we looked at. Um, kind of curious about it, but the problem is, oh shit, I canceled it. Oh well. I guess that's a good sign of being at the end. I hope that they save that. Well, to be continued, right? Because I think there's a lot to be uncovered there, and this is interesting. Interesting bug. I really wanted to show the MCP because this MCP has this like JavaScript VM in it, right? And so I can load these different modules in it. So I could load the tmux and then have it execute JavaScript, but then it also saves the JavaScript code in its own database so it can reload it later on. It's a wild system that needs to be, that is kind of more important than this meshtastic nonsense that I'm doing, but that's the kind of like ADHD for you, right? Did I ever get this to build the actual plan that we started with? No. All right. Well, anyway, it was nice to have you. This was fun, and let me know if you find like your nightly agents. I'm really curious to see where this will all go. All right. Have a good evening.